Elias felt the familiar suffocating weight of another Monday morning as he stared at the flickering fluorescent lights of the factory floor. The monotonous clang of machinery echoed his own internal struggle, a constant reminder of the dead-end job that barely kept food on the table. He was young, yet the lines of worry were already etched around his eyes, born from the relentless pursuit of survival, not living. His greatest ambition wasn't a corner office or lavish vacations. It was simply financial freedom, a chance to provide a better life for his mother, whose health had been steadily declining. Her fragile coughs at night were the haunting soundtrack to his every waking thought, a powerful motivator that pushed him through each grueling shift. One afternoon, during a rare break, Elias found himself sharing a lukewarm coffee with Mr. Henderson, an older gentleman from accounting known for his quiet wisdom and meticulous nature. Mr. Henderson, with his kind eyes and gentle demeanor, had always taken a paternal interest in Elias. It was he who first introduced Elias to a concept that sounded almost mythical: compound interest. "It's the eighth wonder of the world, Elias," Mr. Henderson had explained, tracing invisible numbers in the air. "The simple habit of consistent saving, no matter how small, can turn pennies into fortunes over time." Elias had listened with polite skepticism, his mind struggling to reconcile the grand promise with his meager weekly earnings. How could his paltry savings ever amount to anything significant? Yet a tiny spark of hope, fragile but persistent, ignited within him. Driven by his mother's worsening condition, Elias decided to act on Mr. Henderson's advice. He began a new, radical habit, saving a small, consistent portion of his already stretched income. Every week, a fraction of his paycheck disappeared into a separate account, a silent testament to his burgeoning resolve. The initial weeks were a brutal test of his willpower. Temptations loomed everywhere: a new pair of shoes, a meal out with friends, or even just a momentary escape from the crushing reality of his life. Each time, his mother's frail image would flash in his mind, renewing his determination. Mr. Henderson, noticing Elias's commitment, offered quiet encouragement and practical tips on budgeting, reinforcing the power of patience and persistence. The sacrifices were immediate and stark. Elias politely declined invitations to social gatherings, the thought of spending money on fleeting pleasures now feeling like a betrayal of his long-term goal. Luxury items became distant dreams, replaced by the grim reality of necessity. He tightened his belt, eating simpler meals and walking instead of taking the bus. Then, just as he was beginning to find a rhythm, a sudden family emergency struck. An unexpected medical bill threatened to completely derail his nascent savings. It was a moment of profound crisis, forcing Elias to confront the true depth of his commitment. He made a difficult choice, prioritizing his long-term financial security over immediate, desperate relief, borrowing a small amount from a relative instead of touching his precious savings. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. His efforts, however, were not without their detractors. One evening, a close friend, whom Elias had confided in, mocked his futile efforts, ridiculing his belief in some old man's fantasy. "You're wasting your life, Elias," his friend sneered, "chasing pennies while we live for today." The betrayal stung deeply, leaving Elias feeling isolated and foolish. Yet instead of crushing his spirit, the derision hardened his resolve. He would prove them all wrong. He had to. His mother deserved more than this life, and he was determined to give it to her. The thought of her peaceful smile, free from worry, became his guiding star. Years bled into each other, each marked by Elias's unwavering discipline. The world outside his meticulous budgeting continued its chaotic dance of booms and busts, but Elias remained steadfast. He watched, sometimes with a pang of envy, as others plunged into speculative ventures, their fortunes rising and falling like the tide. His own progress felt painstakingly slow, a snail's pace compared to the meteoric ascents he heard whispered about. Yet the habit, once a conscious effort, had become an ingrained part of his existence, as natural as breathing. Each small deposit, consistent and unwavering, was a quiet act of defiance against the fleeting temptations of instant gratification. His initial meager savings, once almost imperceptible, began to accumulate, showing a modest but undeniable growth. It was not the dramatic explosion of wealth he sometimes dreamed of, but a steady, relentless upward trajectory. The millionaire dream, however, still shimmered tantalizingly on the distant horizon, often feeling more like a mirage than a tangible destination. The daily grind, the constant self-denial, and the endless waiting sometimes gnawed at his resolve, whispers of doubt creeping in during the quiet hours of the night. To accelerate his progress, Elias embarked on a new endeavor, starting a small side business after his shifts, leveraging the practical skills he had meticulously acquired over the years. This venture, though demanding, promised a quicker path to increasing his savings. He found a trusted business partner, a man named Arthur, whose enthusiasm matched his own, and together they poured their limited resources and boundless energy into the fledgling enterprise. For a time, their partnership flourished, small profits beginning to trickle in, adding another layer to Elias's growing financial cushion. But Arthur, unlike Elias, possessed a restless spirit, easily captivated by the allure of quick riches. He became increasingly enamored with various get-rich-quick schemes, his focus drifting from their steady, methodical work. One day, a chilling realization dawned upon Elias. Funds were missing. Not just a small discrepancy, but a significant sum, systematically siphoned from their joint account. Arthur, dazzled by the promise of an immediate, colossal return from a dubious investment, had betrayed their trust, emptying their shared resources into the void of a scam. The discovery hit Elias with the force of a physical blow. The betrayal was deeper, more personal than the friend's earlier mockery. This was not just words, but a tangible theft of his time, his effort, and his hard-earned capital. Anger, hot and vengeful, surged through him. He pictured confronting Arthur, demanding answers, perhaps even pursuing legal action that would drag them both through the mud. The emotional devastation was profound, leaving him reeling, questioning every decision he had made, every ounce of trust he had placed in another. Yet amidst the turmoil, Mr. Henderson's calm, measured voice echoed in his mind, advising him against impulsive reactions, reminding him of the paramount importance of long-term vision. Revenge, Mr. Henderson had always said, consumes the avenger more than the avenged. With a heavy heart, Elias made a difficult, almost agonizing decision. He would not pursue legal action against Arthur. The energy and resources required for such a battle would derail his true purpose, distracting him from his ultimate goal. Instead, he chose to channel his anger into renewed focus. He doubled down on his savings habit, scrutinizing every expense, working even harder at his side business, now solely under his control. He diversified his meager investments, spreading them across different avenues to mitigate future risks. It was a painful rebuilding process, but one that strengthened his resolve immeasurably. Around this time, a small miracle occurred. His mother's health, which had been steadily declining, saw a brief, unexpected improvement. Her eyes, once clouded with pain, now held a sparkle of their former vitality, her laughter ringing a little clearer. This beacon of hope, however fleeting, reaffirmed Elias's purpose, reminding him why he had embarked on this arduous journey in the first place. His efforts, his sacrifices were not in vain. Then a surprising development arrived in the form of a formal letter. Mr. Henderson, his steadfast mentor, had passed away peacefully in his sleep. While grief-stricken, Elias attended the reading of his will, expecting only a final farewell. To his astonishment, amidst the bequests, there was a hidden clause specifically for him, not a direct inheritance, but a cryptic set of instructions. It hinted at a secret investment Mr. Henderson had made years ago, an investment that, if Elias could uncover it, could change everything. The revelation was both bewildering and exhilarating, a final enigmatic lesson from his mentor, promising a potential turning point in his long, patient quest. Elias embarked on a meticulous quest, the cryptic instructions from Mr. Henderson's will serving as his compass. He spent weeks poring over old ledgers, dusty property deeds, and forgotten correspondence, each document a potential clue in a labyrinthine puzzle. The search led him through the quiet archives of the city library, to the musty offices of long-retired notaries, and even to the dilapidated attic of Mr. Henderson's former home, a place he hadn't visited since childhood. Obstacles mounted, misplaced files, uncooperative clerks, and dead ends that threatened to extinguish his hope. Yet the memory of his mother's fragile smile and Mr. Henderson's unwavering belief in him fueled his perseverance. He felt a profound sense of connection to his mentor, as if Mr. Henderson were guiding him posthumously. Finally, tucked away in a forgotten compartment of an antique desk in Mr. Henderson's study, Elias discovered a small, leather-bound journal and a key. The journal contained not just financial entries, but philosophical musings on patience, foresight, and the true meaning of wealth. The key, he soon realized, opened a heavy, fireproof safe hidden beneath a loose floorboard in the same study. Inside, he found a meticulously organized portfolio of investment certificates, each one bearing his name, dated years, even decades into the past. These were not direct cash gifts, but carefully chosen, long-term compounding investments that Mr. Henderson had initiated for him, nurturing them silently while Elias toiled away at his own savings. A wave of profound emotion washed over Elias. Gratitude, awe, and a deep understanding of his mentor's extraordinary vision. The revelation was staggering. The simple habit had not just been a personal discipline, but a legacy, secretly cultivated and amplified by the man who believed in him most. Among the documents, Elias also uncovered incriminating evidence. Mr. Henderson, with his vast network and keen eye, had meticulously documented the various financial misdeeds of several individuals, including the fraudulent scheme that had ensnared Arthur, Elias's former business partner. The evidence was irrefutable, capable of exposing powerful figures and ruining reputations. Elias faced a profound moral dilemma. He could use this information to exact revenge, to publicly shame Arthur and others who had wronged him. The temptation was strong, a burning desire for retribution that had simmered beneath the surface for years. But then, Mr. Henderson's words, echoing from the pages of the journal, resonated in his mind. True power lies not in vengeance, but in the quiet strength of your own growth. Elias chose not to expose them. He understood that his true victory lay not in their downfall, but in his own ascent. With his newfound understanding and the profound weight of Mr. Henderson's legacy, Elias confronted Arthur. He did not accuse, nor did he gloat. He simply presented the facts of his own success, the quiet dignity of a man who had built his fortune through discipline and patience, contrasting starkly with Arthur's fleeting, ill-gotten gains. Arthur, witnessing Elias's quiet triumph, could only hang his head in shame, the stark reality of his choices laid bare. There was no anger in Elias's voice, only a calm resolve that spoke volumes. Soon after, a profound peace settled over Elias's home. His mother, witnessing her son's quiet, undeniable success, saw her greatest wish fulfilled. She saw him not just as a man of wealth, but as a man of integrity, resilience, and profound purpose. Her health, which had briefly improved, gently faded. She passed away peacefully in her sleep, a contented smile gracing her lips, having seen her son achieve his dream, a dream she had so profoundly inspired. Elias became a millionaire, not overnight, but through decades of sustained discipline, the quiet power of compound interest, and the extraordinary foresight of his mentor. He established a foundation in his mother's and Mr. Henderson's names, dedicated to teaching financial literacy and the enduring power of consistent, small actions. He shared his story, not as a tale of sudden riches, but as a testament to the simple habit that had transformed his life. Elias found true fulfillment not in the numbers in his bank account, but in the arduous journey, the invaluable lessons learned, and the profound positive impact he could now make on the world. His legacy became a living embodiment of Mr. Henderson's wisdom, that true wealth is built not just on money, but on character, patience, and the unwavering belief in the power of small, consistent steps.